Okay, so let's plan this out. We're using pseudocode. That is pseudocode. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a procedure. The procedure is called count vowels. Right. So let's do it. Procedure. Count vowels. It will be called with a string containing alphanumeric characters as its parameter. So I'm going to call it st for string, and the data type is string. Remember, it's pseudocode, and it's going to be by vowel. Okay, so we've done this. What we need to do is count and output the number of occurrences of each vowel in the string. So I need to, in order to do this, loop through st, as in my variable, and check if each one is a vowel, and count each vowel. Okay, so I've got an idea of how I'm going to do that. Count and output a number of occurrences of other alphabetic characters as a single total. So anything not a vowel, so I need to loop through. Anything what if not vowel, it says as a single total. So anything which isn't a vowel, have a count. The string may contain both upper and lowercase characters. Well, okay, if it's containing both upper and lower, it doesn't matter if it's upper or lower. I need to count. It'll make it easier if I convert them all to the same. So I'm going to get rid of upper. I need to convert to lower. Each count value will be stored in a unique element of a 1D global array called char count of type integer. The array will contain 6 elements. So what does that mean? Well, I need to have an array. I'm going to draw it like a stack. We're going to have 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why would I have 6? Well, hold on. A, E, I, O, U, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that makes sense. So this will be like my A, my E, my I, my O, my U, and this will be other for other characters. I'm guessing that is where then each count, so it'll store the amount of A's. Let's say 9 A's, 0 E's, 0 I's, 1 O, 0 U's, and like 10 other characters. Okay, I'm getting my head around this. Easy. So I need to put into like position 1 if it's an A, add to position 2 if it's an E, add to position 3 if it's an I. Okay, I'm getting this, So, first of all, I'm going to be needing to use for loop. That's easy enough. So my for loop, I'm going to need to declare the index for count. And that's going to be integer. And I also need to declare this char, which is going to store each character of my word. So if I was going to do bag, char will get a B and store it. It'll then get A and store in char. It'll then get G, so I can examine it. Okay, first things first. Does it say that the array's already been made? Each count value will be stored in a unique element of a global 1D array. Well, it's been assigned, but it hasn't actually been made because it's global, so it would have been done outside of here. So we know that we've got a variable like declare. We'll call it, does it give us a name? Yeah, char count of integer, but we don't need to do this because this is global. We just need to do for procedure, but we do need to set it up. To set up this array, I need to use a for loop. For index in range. How many do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from 1 to 6. So we're creating these 6 empty spaces. That is what we're doing right now. So at the moment, if I get rid of all this, I want to get char count, which is our array, and that should be capital C. It needs to be exactly the same. Index, which will be 1 to begin with, and inside of it, I'm going to put 0. So the first time this loops, it's going to do this. The second time it loops, I becomes 2. Then the next time it loops, 4. If the question said that the array was already set up for us and assigned values, we wouldn't need to do this, but it doesn't. It just says it's global, so it's been declared globally, but we now need to place a value of 0 inside each element in it. So there we go. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. How did I know I needed to do that? Just a reminder, I say it again, it doesn't say anything about this array has been made for you already. It just says we are going to need an array. It's global, which means the declare would have been done outside of the procedure, but we still need to make it. Now, let's finish off this for loop. Next, index. And there we go. That is now done. Now, because I'm going to use index again, I want that to reset, so I'm just going to do index becomes 1. I could make a new counter for my next loop. You'll see what I mean in a second, but I'm not. I'm going to use index again. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to drag this array and move it down here. Can I just take all of these? Great. And what we're going to do is we're going to do another for loop, but this time, so I could have used like index 2, but then if I used index 2, I need to put it up here as well. So say index 1, index 2, whatever. I'm going to go 1 to length of TS. I think I call it TS. A word, this string, or it's st. Okay, so we're going to loop through. If we have the word bag, we're going to loop through each character. That's the aim. Remember, to do this, we need to, I'm going to be using this char, and that's going to be equal to, and I want to turn this, or let's imagine it's like that, into lowercase. It just makes it easier for when we're doing our if statement. So this char, I'm going to turn it all into lowercase, and then I need to get the first character. Every time we do this in pseudocode, it needs to be mid. ST, index, and 1 character. So that will get B to begin with. I need to now check which one this is. So I'm going to use the if statement, but I can use a case as well. I'll show you. What's just happened? That's all good. I'll show you both. So let's do if. If this char equals A, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put into the array, which was char count, position 1, because that's where we're going to be storing our A, E, I, O, U, and other, is going to be char count 1 plus 1. So this means we're adding 1 to that. And I'm going to do the same for else if. I'm not going to do all the ifs because you get the idea. So else if, and then we're going to do else if this char equals E, and then we're going to do char count 2 plus Okay, I've screwed this up. I need to do then. Sorry, I'm half asleep still. Then char count 2 equals char count 2 plus 1. Okay, so I can keep this going, so I could do else if this char equals I, so I should say I, my bad, then char count 3 equals blah 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 plus 1. Now, what happens if it, so once we've done A, E, I, O, U, how would we do any other letter? If we did else, the issue is, if they were to type in like 6, it will still count as a letter. So this is what we're going to do. We're actually going to do another else if. And I'm going to do this char is greater than or equal to A. We've done this before. And this char is less than or equal to Z, then char count 6 equals char count 6 plus 1. Now you'll say to me, whoa, hang on a minute, it feels like bag. Wouldn't this be this? So wouldn't that make this go up by 1 over here? You could argue that, but no, it won't, because remember, the way this will work is, it will check this one first. Does that equal A? Yes, it does. We're done. It won't need to go through each one of these, because these are else's. Else if, else if, else if. Then I need to end if and end all the other ifs as well. That's one way of doing it. A simpler way of doing this is actually using a case statement. So let's get rid of all this stuff. And this is a good technique to practice because it's simpler. You just need to practice the technique. Case, and then I'm going to have of the variable, this char. So whatever this char is, it's basically saying case of this char. So if it's A, then what we want to do is char count position 1 equals char count position 1 plus 1, like before. E, and then do the same again. Char count position 2 equals char count 2 plus 1. I, char count 3, char count 3 plus 1. O, U, so same again, I'm not going to do that. Now for anything else, which is an A, E, I, O, U, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do A to Z, and that's going to be char count position 6 equals char count position 6 plus 1. So I can do it like that, which is basically the same as saying if it's greater than or equal to A and less than or equal to Z. End case. Alright, so by doing that, if we were to type in the word bag, we turn it to lowercase, so we should have theoretically 1 here, so for A. The rest of it's 0, and then 2 other characters B and G. That's what our array would look like. So what's the final thing we need to do? So if I go to this, we've done count, but we haven't done any outputs of the vowel and the alphabetical characters. This is easy. How do I output the array? I just loop through the array. So for, well, before I do my for, let's make index equals 1 again, because we're using it again. I didn't mean to do that, my bad. For index, now you could do it 1 to 6, or you could do 1 to the length of the array. I'm going to do it 1 to 6 because it's quicker. For index 1 to 6, I'm going to output char count index. Next index. We're done. This is going to loop through our array. And simply do on the screen 1, then a 0, then a 0, then a 0, then a 0, then a 2. That's all it needs. It doesn't say format it in a certain way. If I go back up, it didn't say format it at all. It just says output the number of occurrences of each val, which is what we're doing. Output the number of occurrences of other alphabetical characters. That is what we're doing. Simple. If we were having to do it where we were making it look pretty, I wouldn't use a for loop. I would have to do it like this. Output A, and then I would do the ampersand, whatever it is, that's the at sign, you know what I'm talking about, the and sign, and then I would do, what's the name for the array again? It's char count. Position 1. I'll then do output E. If I was making it look pretty, this is what it'll be like, the ampersand and then char count 2. But we don't need to do it that way, we just need to do it. It says output the values for each one. There we go. I then need to end procedure. And there we go. And I'm absolutely finished. Might be worth watching again the steps I took if you got this completely wrong to show you how I got there in the end. Things to remember. Whether or not the array's been made already. Things to remember. How to set up an empty array. Everything's 0 here. Things to remember. Declaring your variables. Things to remember. How to use mid. That's essential. We've done that so many times. Things to remember, making the right understanding that if you've got something capital and something lowercase, it's better to put it all into one case, whether it's lowercase or uppercase. Things to remember. How to do a case statement might help you in the future. Or you can do this as an if statement, but it'll take you a bit longer, it's fine. Things to remember. Resetting index to become 1 again if you're reusing it. Things to remember. If it doesn't tell us to format something in a certain way and display something in a certain way, we can just do it in a loop, outputting the array. Things to remember. The steps I took to begin with before I even started doing it, i.e. identifying what I needed to do, identifying, writing out my header, bit by bit. I added by val, didn't need to, but it makes it look better. That I break the problem down bit by bit by bit by bit, that I visually drew what the array would look like and how it would work. All of these little micro steps.